In the valley of Solanvale, where rolling hills met a sparkling river, there was an orchard unlike any other. The trees glowed faintly at night, their silver leaves rustling as though whispering secrets to the stars. Children in the village loved to gaze at the orchard from afar, but none dared enter after sunset. It was said that the orchard only appeared in full moonlight, and those who entered without permission could lose their way forever. The 13-year-old Arya had heard the tales all her life. With a wild mane of auburn curls and eyes the color of amber, she was not easily frightened. She adored stories about magic and believed that there was always truth hidden in them. One late summer night, when the full moon hung low and bright over Solanvale, Arya decided she would see the orchard for herself. She slipped out of her cottage quietly, clutching a worn leather satchel with bread, water, and her sketchbook. Her parents were asleep, and her younger brother murmured softly in his dreams. Outside, the village was still, and the moonlight painted the cobblestone streets in silver. As Arya approached the orchard, she noticed how the trees seemed to shimmer more the closer she came. The air smelled of ripe fruit and something sweeter, like honey warmed in the sun. A stone archway covered in vines marked the entrance. She hesitated for a moment, then stepped inside. The orchard was breathtaking. Pear trees, apple trees, cherry trees, all glowing faintly as though lit from within, stretched out before her. The fruit on their branches sparkled like tiny lanterns. Arya reached up and touched one of the glowing apples, and it pulsed softly in her hand. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the orchard. "Careful, child. Not all fruit is meant to be picked." Arya spun around. Standing a few steps away was a tall figure cloaked in silver and blue, with eyes that gleamed like the moon. "Who are you?" Arya whispered. "I am Lysander, the orchard's guardian," the figure said. "This place is ancient and sacred. Why have you come?" Arya swallowed hard. I just wanted to see if the stories were true." Lysander studied her carefully. "The orchard reveals itself only to those with a purpose. Do you have one?" Arya thought of her brother, who had been sick for weeks. She remembered his pale face and the way he coughed through the night. "My brother is ill," she said softly. "I hoped maybe there was something here that could help him." Lysander's expression softened. He beckoned her to follow. Deeper in the orchard, the air grew warmer and sweeter. Fireflies flickered among the branches like stars trapped in leaves. Lysander stopped before a single towering tree in the center of a moonlit clearing. Its trunk shimmered like polished silver, and a single golden fruit hung from its highest branch. "This," Lysander said, "is the heart fruit. It blooms only under a full moon every 10 years. One bite can heal any illness, mend any wound, but it comes with a price." Arya's heart pounded. "What price?" Lysander knelt so his eyes met hers. "If you take it for yourself, the orchard will vanish from your sight forever. But if you take it for someone else, you will always carry its magic within you. You will feel the pain and joy of others as your own. Are you willing to bear that?" Arya looked at the golden fruit. She imagined her brother's smile, the way he used to chase fireflies before he got sick. Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "I'll take it for him." The heartfruit stem detached easily as she reached for it. It was warm and soft in her hands, pulsing like a heartbeat. Lysander bowed his head. "You have chosen well. Go now before dawn. The orchard will guide you home." Arya turned to thank him, but Lysander was gone. She hurried back through the glowing orchard, clutching the fruit close. As she stepped through the stone archway, the trees behind her faded like mist. Home. Arya woke her brother gently and held the fruit to his lips. "Eat this," she whispered. He took a small bite, then another. Almost instantly, color returned to his cheeks. His coughing quieted, and he smiled weakly. "Arya," he whispered, "it feels like the stars are inside me." She hugged him tightly, tears spilling down her face. She could already feel the magic taking root in her. A warmth spread through her chest along with a strange heaviness. She could sense her brother's relief, but also the worry of her parents as they stirred in the next room, the fear of a neighbor dreaming fitfully, the loneliness of a stray dog outside the house. As dawn's first light crept over Solenvale, Arya stepped outside. The orchard was gone. Only an open field stretched beyond the village, sparkling faintly with dew. But she could still feel its presence in her heart, like a quiet hum. She knew she would never see the glowing trees again, but that was all right. She had saved her brother, and now she could help others in ways they might never understand, and somewhere, under another full moon, the moonlit orchard of Solenvale would appear again, waiting for the next dreamer with a pure heart to find it. Beneath a sky scattered with countless stars, a small village nestled at the edge of the sea lay quiet and still. Waves lapped gently at the rocky shore, and the scent of salt hung in the cool night air. In a modest stone cottage, a young girl named Alara sat by the window, her long curly hair shimmering like threads of moonlight. Her emerald green eyes were fixed on the horizon, where the sea stretched endlessly, mysterious and inviting. Alara had always dreamed of adventure. While others in the village were content with fishing, farming, and tending the lighthouse, she often found herself gazing at the ocean, wondering what lay beyond. Her late father had been a sailor, and he had left her a single possession before embarking on his final voyage: a strange golden compass that did not point north, but spun in circles until it suddenly locked on a direction, as if sensing something magical. One day, her father had told her, "This compass will guide you to a place where your heart truly belongs." That night, as the wind whispered through the trees, the compass on her bedside table began to glow faintly. Alara picked it up with trembling hands. The needle spun faster and faster before settling firmly toward the sea. She felt her heart race. Could this be the moment her father had spoken of? She didn't hesitate. She packed a small satchel with bread, cheese, a flask of water, and the compass, then tiptoed out of the cottage into the starlit night. Down by the docks, an old fisherman named Bram was repairing his boat. "Alara," he said, surprised, "what are you doing out so late?" "I have to follow the compass," she whispered, holding it up. "It's calling me." Bram studied her for a long moment before sighing. "Your father would have wanted you to be brave. Take my boat. But beware. The sea is full of wonders and dangers alike." Thanking him, Alara climbed aboard the small sailboat and pushed away from the dock. The wind caught the sail, and soon the village lights disappeared behind her. The compass glowed brighter, guiding her deeper into the vast ocean. The first night at sea was both terrifying and beautiful. The stars reflected on the water like scattered diamonds, and distant whales sang haunting songs beneath the waves. Alara wrapped her blanket tightly around her shoulders, glancing at the compass. Its glow comforted her, though the needle pointed unwaveringly into the unknown. By dawn, she spotted an island on the horizon. But as she approached, the sea suddenly churned violently. A whirlpool formed, sucking the boat toward its dark center. Alara clung to the mast, heart pounding. Just when it seemed she would be swallowed whole, the compass pulsed with light and projected a thin, golden path across the water. "Follow it," she gasped, steering the boat onto the glowing trail. Miraculously, the whirlpool calmed, and Alara escaped its grasp. She reached the island's shore trembling but alive. The island was unlike any place Alara had ever seen. Trees with silver leaves rustled in the breeze, and brilliant flowers bloomed in every color imaginable. Strange songbirds with jewel-like feathers flitted from branch to branch, singing melodies so sweet that Alara felt her worries fade. She wandered into the forest, following the compass. But the birds' songs began to change. Their melodies twisted into words. "Turn back, little voyager," they sang. This place is not for mortals. Elara shivered. I can't turn back, she whispered. I have to see where this leads. As she walked deeper into the forest, the trees began to shift, blocking her path. The compass flickered weakly, as if the island itself was trying to smother its magic. Then she heard a voice, a soft, sorrowful cry. Following the sound, Elara found a tiny creature trapped in a net of thorns. It was no bigger than a rabbit, with soft golden fur and translucent wings like a dragonfly. Tears sparkled in its bright amber eyes. Please help me, it whispered without hesitation. Elara knelt and carefully untangled the thorns. The creature fluttered its wings and hovered in front of her. You freed me, it said in a musical voice. I am Lyric, a guardian spirit of this island. Few mortals have kindness strong enough to resist the island's illusions. Elara held out the compass. It's guiding me somewhere. Do you know why? Lyric tilted its head. That compass was forged from the starlight of the celestial forge. It points only toward places of great magic. But beware, the path is full of trials. If you seek its destination, you will need courage, kindness, and wisdom. Elara nodded. I'll do whatever it takes. Lyric smiled. Then I shall join you. With Lyric perched on her shoulder, Elara left the island and sailed onward. Days turned into nights, and the compass led them into a strange region where the sun never fully rose. The sky glowed with perpetual twilight, and ghostly shapes drifted beneath the water's surface. One evening, as Elara tried to rest, the boat jolted violently. A massive sea serpent rose from the depths, its scales glimmering like molten gold. Its eyes glowed with ancient wisdom. Why do you trespass in my waters, child of the land? The serpent boomed. Elara's voice shook. I'm following the compass. I have to see where it leads. The serpent studied her for a long moment before lowering its head. The destination you seek is dangerous. Many have perished trying to reach it. What makes you think you are worthy? Elara hesitated, then said, Because I want to use whatever I find there to help others. My father believed this compass would lead me to where I belong. I can't turn back now. The serpent's gaze softened. Then I will test your resolve. It opened its jaws and unleashed a massive wave, flipping the boat upside down. Elara was thrown into the icy water. She kicked and struggled, but the current was strong. Suddenly, the compass blazed brighter than ever, projecting a bubble of golden light around her. She gasped for breath inside the glowing sphere as it carried her safely back to the boat. When she surfaced, the serpent was gone, leaving only ripples in the water. You passed, Lyric whispered. It saw your heart. At last, the compass guided Elara and Lyric to a hidden island surrounded by glowing reefs. In its center stood a towering crystal spire that shimmered with starlight. This was the sanctuary of the celestial forge, the birthplace of the compass itself. As Elara stepped inside, a voice echoed through the chamber. You who bear the compass, why have you come? She looked up to see a figure made entirely of light. I want to know where I truly belong, she said softly. I want to help people just like my father did. The figure extended a hand. Then your heart has already led you here. This sanctuary can grant a single gift, but its power must be used selflessly. What do you wish for, Elara? She thought of her village, her friends, and the many lost sailors who had vanished at sea. Then she said, I wish for a way to guide those who are lost home safely, no matter where they are. The figure nodded, and the crystal spire burst with radiant light. When it faded, Elara held in her hands a new artifact, a starlit beacon. Its glow was so strong it could pierce even the darkest storm. Return to your world, the figure said. Your beacon will shine whenever someone needs help finding their way. Elara and Lyric sailed back to the village. She placed the starlit beacon atop the lighthouse, and its warm light spread across the horizon. Fishermen lost at sea found their way home, and ships from distant lands were guided safely to shore. Elara had become a true guardian of the coast, just as her father had dreamed. Though her journey was over, Elara knew that adventure would always find her. The compass, now quiet, rested in her pocket, ready for the day it might call her once again, and on quiet nights, when the stars shone brightest, she could almost hear her father's voice in the wind. "I'm proud of you, Elara. You've found where you belong."